No dating today, because today is the life update episode. Sorry it's been a while since I posted here. There's actually been a reason for that. I have just recently gone back to school. That's right, I'm getting my second degree. The first one didn't really yield a sustainable career, or even a career at all for that matter, but part of that had been a personal decision, to be completely honest. I might get into that a little later. So my first degree is in graphic communication, which is basically graphic design, but during my studies I also dabbled in a lot of different fields like fine arts, painting, illustration, 3D design, architecture, film production, photography, music, etc. And I really enjoyed my studies, I think. However, during an internship in my last year of graphic comms, one thing was made quite clear to me. There is no entry level, junior level, or even like mid-level job in this field as of now that would ever fulfill me creatively. Which, isn't that just so ironically contradictory? I discovered that a job in the creative field won't actually satisfy my creative urges and artistic pursuits. Isn't that so interesting? So all my life I have known that I'm a very creativity oriented person, and because of this I've always thought that I was destined to work in the creative field, that I had to have a job in the art space. My first ever memory of me is like as a little kid and I'm drawing. And that's something I've continued with consistently until I was like 15. Like, I was a proper illustrator back in the day.
I used to draw original character designs and emo furries as a teenager. And while the drawings may have been cringe, I may be cringe, but I am free, okay? And the drawings, they were good. The drawings were good, actually. So, like...
After that, I've always been in schools for visual arts since I was 16 and up, but only through my internship in my last year of graphic comm did I realize that this passion that I had, it's not something I want to use as a vehicle for a career. What I didn't know then is that my job didn't have to be my purpose, and that my purpose didn't have to be my job. So after 2 years of being a degree holder and only being able to work odd jobs that had nothing to do with the field that I'm in, field that I was educated in, I decided it was time to try again and get a useful formal education. So right now I've just completed my first week of university studying economics and business administration. This feels like a huge 180 from everything I've ever experienced in my life so far academically. What made me choose this path was that this education seems to be very versatile and could lead me to many different job opportunities, albeit like boring corporate vanilla jobs, but like, is that so bad? I used to think it really was that bad, that submitting yourself to the corporate 9 to 5 is creative suicide. So me being here right now is a huge leap in my outlook on life and purpose. What made me come around to this life hopefully not being so bad was seeing and experiencing for myself. Those 2 years I was working, I saw that just because I was a warehouse worker by day didn't mean I couldn't make art and create stuff in my 5 to 9. And whatever I do in my 5 to 9 is entirely of my own agency. Like, if I make art after work, it is mine. It is not a client brief, it's not a deadline from a boss, it's mine. And although 5 to 9 after work is only half the amount of time allotted to you than your 9 to 5, I found that it's not about the quantity of time, it's about the quality of time. Or at least that was the revelation that befell me during these last 2 years. So while I'm happy and excited for what the next 3 years will bring, part of me still feels like I'm betraying my inner artist by no longer pursuing art as a career. But like, on the other hand, when did I start defining my inner artist inside such a limited box? Is a creative person no longer an artist just because their day job is accounting? Is an artist only defined by their source of income? When did an artist stop being defined by their passions, artistic pursuits, their creativity? That's one of the many dangers of capitalism as a philosophy or outlook on life. Art and artists are inherently unfit for the capitalistic model, and the only way we fit is if the art is commodified and sold. To force art to participate in capitalism, that's essentially what I discovered during my internship, and it was so against anything I wanted to spend my 9 to 5 on. Making art just because a big corporate client wants a hip new branding to drive more sales. Not only would fulfilling that request completely drain me of all my creative juice, it also strips what I created of any ownership or trace of my artistic contribution. So when I return home after a long day at internship that was supposed to give me a little taste of what I could expect from the actual work life in this field, I was completely exhausted. I had no more energy left to fulfill my creative visions because I essentially spent the whole day wasting my precious creativity juice on a client whose vision I don't give a care about. Then when I graduated, I tried to apply for lots of entry-level graphic design jobs, but I knew in my hearts of hearts I didn't really want to repeat my internship experience. So I got a job as a warehouse worker. And what I learned was that the working of the menial physical labor jobs and the boredom and the repetitive brain-dead tasks were actually really good for my creativity, because instead of being creatively and mentally exhausted and drained throughout the day, I had the whole day to daydream inside my head. So when I came home, I had all these creative ideas pent up inside that I just couldn't wait to note down or sketch out or pick up the needles and fervently knit. If I learned anything, it was this: that it has been so good for my inner artist to be anything but a career artist. So yeah, all that to say that as a student again, my life is likely going to get busier and uploads may be less frequent. However, also, due to this change in my lifestyle, I may or may not get a little experimental with the formats and genres of videos I post from now on. We'll see. May or may not. Don't hold me to anything. I'm just throwing things out there. So yeah, if you watched all of this through, I hope I haven't kept you from knitting. In fact, I hope you've been knitting while listening to me crash out. And yeah, thank you for that, for listening to me and spending time here with me. I hope it's been insightful or entertaining for you. If you were knitting during this, would you please do me the favor of letting me know what you were knitting on? I'm really curious and I'm looking for things to inspire me for my fall knitting plans. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my studies. Until next time.